Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Moose Lake City Council organizational meeting here on Wednesday, January 11th, 2023 at 4 p.m. First, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have approval of the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
New business. Letter A, oath of office.
So we should all come on here, I guess.
Raise your right hands.
All right. If you could repeat after me, please. I, insert your name, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Joe Howard, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office
of council member in the city of Moose Lake,
Council Member of the City of Moose Lake,
County of Carleton,
County of Carleton,
the state of Minnesota,
State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you.
Impressive.
Very good. Thanks, Alyssa. I can now officially take over the agenda. Our next item is the committee and board appointments. Everybody has that handout. All right, I'll do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll do the first 7 items, all as one motion, and then we'll go through each committee after that. The city attorney is Flattery and Hood. City engineer, Matt Wolf, SCH. City finance advisor, Northland Securities. Bond counsel, Kenny and Graven, chartered. City auditor, Larson Allen. City funds depository, First National Bank of Moose Lake. The official city newspaper, Star Gazette. Do I have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the Planning Commission, there's myself, Doug Jutman, Doug Skelton, Joanne Unzen, and William Hayden, and none of those are up of the public citizens, but myself and Doug need to be approved annually. So we have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next is the Economic Development Authority. Doug Jutman is the city council member, Greg Sarver, the city council member, Yvonne Skelton, hers is 2023, Terry Burns is 2022, Steve Olson is 2024. So Terry Burns we need to approve, and he has agreed to serve. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Zoning Administrator, Alyssa Owens, City Administrator. Have a motion to accept. Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Housing and Redevelopment Authority, Sharon Hoppy, 2022. Catherine Wexeth, 2023. Alice Miller, 2024. Barb Isaacson, 2024. Joanne Morrissey, 2023. So we have one individual, Sharon, for 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the next one, the Park and Recreation Board. There's myself, Walt Lauer, the council. Becky Leaf is the township rep, and her term is up, but that has to be approved by the township first. So hers will have to come back next month. Ross Stewart, 2024, Barney Hollis, 2024, Gray Noline, 2023, Lowell, 2023, and we do have one vacancy. And I believe, did we get
He's gonna come in March.
we have somebody, oh,
He's gonna come in March and observe and then possibly join you.
okay. So we do have, the ones that need to be approved were Becky, Ross, and Barney. They're not showing in, excuse me, in yellow, but we'll have to wait on Becky, but Ross and Barney, do we have a motion to appoint them to the Park and Recreation Board?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Library Board, Walt Lowers, the council member, Karen Johnson and Sawyer Grant. I can't read that quite.
Cahill.
Cahill,
Ahoy,
I can't hear you.
ahoy.
And Dave Menisco. And it'd be Walt Lauer. You know, Karen will have to be approved by the township. So Walt Lauer to be approved by the council.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Cemetery Board, Greg Sarvely, City Council, Mike Peterson, 2022. June Mackey, 2023. Walt Lauer, 2024. Natalie Ford, 2024. So we have Greg and Mike. Mike did say he'd like to stay on it. Greg? So we have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public Utilities Commission, we have one vacancy, which I stepped down from. We have Kurt York, 2024, and Doug Skelton, 2023. Is there a volunteer, because this is a city council position, to serve on the Public Utilities Commission? Hearing none, I do have to, is a responsibility to assign someone to that position. And if a person that I select does not want to serve, they'll have to make a motion to open it up to the public. It'll have to be advertised. And then we would collect those people applied, and we'd have to do an interview and then select them at our next city council. So, Doug, if you do not wish to serve, you can make a motion to open it to the public.
You ask me to do it, I'll do it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Doug.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Do I have a second? I second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Fire District Board, Walt Lauer and Robert Hoppy. And we need to approve both of them. And Robert he did want to serve.
Correct.
Yes. Excuse me. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, city officers and officials. Mayor Pro Tem, I'll go through these items underneath here. Looks like it's just on this page. And then we will do them all at once. Mayor Pro Tem, Doug, you still want to hold that position?
Yes.
Weed and tree inspector, I nominate myself. Why did I
You
get
don't
on
need that
this?
one step.
I have failed, you know, saw the tree limbs down throughout town.
I have
Excellent.
I am terrible, so I should really step down. Yeah, thank you guys. Safety officer, Phil Etner. Waste management director, Phil Etner. Building official inspector, Andy Sharp, township and range. And animal control officer, Moose Lake Police Department. Board of Health Gateway Clinic physicians. Emergency preparedness, the mayor, myself. Cable television public access coordinator, Rory Buckowitz. Do we have a motion to accept those assignments?
So moved.
Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next, we'll start with the city council committee. I'll go through them down to the last area, the city administrator and department directors. We'll get through those and do them as one. Municipal liquor store, Doug Chutnett and Greg Sarvala, do you wish to serve?
Yes.
Police protection, Chris?
Yep.
Cable television committee and communications technology committee.
You missed
Do we
one.
have a,
There is one?
You missed one.
Administrative committee.
did I miss one above there? I did. Administrative committee, Chris?
Yeah.
So then I will too. The cable television, we should really have,
I didn't know there was one.
there is, that's why I'm thinking that it should be put on
Okay.
there. Chamber of Commerce, myself, Paul Lauer, Walt, do you wish to serve on that still?
Yes.
Minnesota Department of Corrections Advisory Committee, myself and Chris.
I'd like to be removed.
All right, so Chris will be removed. Do we have a volunteer to serve on that?
I think it used to be just you, but because I was in that capacity,
Yeah.
so.
There's a meeting coming up. They meet at 7 in the morning, 7 to 8, once a quarter.
I'll get on
Doug?
that. Sure.
All right, Doug?
I will send you that meeting information.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have Active Living Coalition, myself and Doug. How's it been going, Doug?
We're actively living,
Okay,
so you're doing a great job.
we should probably look at that. What we should be, we've been inactive for,
Well, I think it involves a safety committee. I think it could go underneath that umbrella.
Phil, no wonder.
Completely agree.
Wow, I've been attending these meetings all the time, and it could have been you.
Nope.
Oh,
I don't
damn
think
it.
so.
We haven't met yet, though.
How long has it been around?
A little while.
20 years.
Do I have to ask more?
No?
Okay.
Doug, you wish to continue to serve?
Sure.
Thank you. City Committee, Safety Committee, myself, Phil Etner, Public Safety Officer, Alicia Owens, City Administrator, Darren Jutman, Police Chief, Ryan McKeon, Finance Director. Do all individuals wish to serve? Phil?
Nope.
Do we have a motion to accept those appointments?
Someone?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let's see, is it, nope, just, we got one more section, the city administration and department directors. City Administrator, City Clerk, Treasurer, Alyssa Owens, City Administrator. Deputy Clerk, Finance Director, Ryan McKeon. Electronic Fund Transaction Designation, Ryan McKeon. Public Works Superintendent, Phil Etner. Chief of Police, Darren Juntinen. Municipal Liquor Store Manager, Elaine Henniger. Library Director, Laura Helwig. Motor Vehicle Deputy Register, Karen Deline. Do we have a motion to accept those appointments?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any other ones? Was there a depository? There's another thing. Is Ryan the one who does all the deposits in? There was, you remember, Chris, there was always something we had to
The
do.
sign, for like checks, signing checks and.
There's a signature page for,
The oath of office.
We'll check into that.
Sure.
There may be
I
something.
believe we did do that, already.
It was this, when he first started.
Correct, we did get him on there.
Okay.
Correct. He is assigning at the bank on the account. And we re-upped everybody else at that time as well.
All right. Any other items from the council? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the reorganizational meeting?
so moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you all. The next is a motion to, excuse me, we don't have to do that. I will now open the regular meeting of the Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. And it is now 4:16? 4:17. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance, so the approval of the agenda is the next item. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under number 2, consent agenda, 2A, we have the minutes, regular city council meeting for December 19th, 2022. Do I have any questions or discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes for December 19th?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 2B, financial reports, number 1, the city accounts payable for December 2022. Number 2, the city financial statements, December 2022. Number 3, the liquor store profit loss statements for December 2022. Any discussion or questions on the financial reports?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Before we vote, were there items last month that needed, that we couldn't get done? What month was that? We had to wait a month.
3 or 4 months ago.
Is that
We
long
caught them
ago?
back up the following month.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. All right, moving on to public's comment. This time reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Do you have anyone? Looks like none. Moving on to number 4, the department reports. Police Chief, Department report for December 2022.
Mayor, members of the council, Administrator Owens, in your packet, you should have our December police report totaling 158 calls for service. 25 of those were for extra patrol, 12 traffic stops, 32 community engagement, 11 assist to other agencies, 73 calls for service, and 5 medicals. So it seems like every time we turn around, it's just another snowstorm and that. I think that's helped to keep things down. Hats off to Phil and his crew for making it a lot easier for everything around town. So hopefully the snow removal is, parking problem has been probably our biggest thing, getting some of those people off the street. So we've been sending out a lot of letters. At some point here, we'll probably start hooking some of them that are repeat ones, you know, all the time. But I want to save part of the time here to introduce Chad Walsh. All of you approved him a while back here. He started on January 2nd as full-time. Come on up, Chad. He's got a lot of experience. Has worked out as a police officer in South Dakota. Military vet, has runs a couple businesses, and has been doing a great job so far for us. So I just wanted to give you guys the opportunity to meet Chad. If you had any questions for him, Chad, you want to come up? I think you've met some of the people in here.
Yeah, first time meeting you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. You guys have a great little town, just so you know. Moose Lake has a great community. Some of you might know my past, some of you don't. I own a couple businesses in St. Louis County. I also did run for St. Louis County Sheriff, so I do know a lot about communities, and I will tell you that Moose Lake is by far one of the better communities. So I
Thank you.
applaud you guys for that. And thank you for
Welcome
giving,
aboard.
what's that?
Welcome aboard.
Well,
We're
thank you
glad
very
you're here.
much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Where did you
You
work
guys
at,
do a great job.
where did you work in South Dakota?
Huron,
In Huron?
yes,
Okay.
have you been there?
No, I have not.
Where, you've been to South Dakota?
Oh, yeah, yeah. been-
Yes.
Yeah. It's a
Different
nice-
world in South Dakota.
Yeah, it's a nice state.
Yes.
I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yes, I spent quite a few years in the Army. I was an MP in the military,
Okay.
so I've been deployed all over the world. I truly enjoyed it.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be moved back up here to Minnesota, so after I got out, I came up here and I was offered a job in South Dakota and took it and went back up here and started a couple businesses, and here we are.
Hey,
You know,
well,
and
great.
I've known Darren for quite some time, and asked me if I'd be interested. And I said, absolutely. I've heard nothing but great things about this town.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
It's, we
Certainly
appreciate
appreciate
that.
Yeah, like I said, thank you guys. It's truly an honor to be
Thank you.
here. Thanks.
And then one just last follow-up, we're in the process of, hiring somebody that is totally green as just a part-time officer, so we've already kind of wrapped up the background check on that. Somebody that Chad ends up knowing, that's worked for his business for a while, is already eligible to be licensed, has passed the post and everything, we just have to activate that, but has some other job experience that relates into law enforcement pretty well, did an internship with the Minnesota State Patrol, and is really looking forward to coming to work for us. So that's somebody that should be able to have on our part-time list to help, keep things moving along, since that's kind of getting depleted with everybody working all the overtime in their own department. So we look forward to getting her out and going pretty soon and getting her through the somewhat modified on-the-job training, FTO. So looking forward to that. Other than that, it's going pretty well. This last month was pretty good. So we had that power outage for the people in the surrounding areas for 4 to 5 days. But other than that, it's going pretty well. Any questions for me?
Thanks, Darren.
All right,
Thank you much.
thank you.
Pass a thank you on to the crew.
I will.
City Superintendent, Department report for 2022.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Administrator Owens. Yeah, as Darren mentioned, we all know we've been busy with snow, and we've been busy with snow. So we'll start off in the water department. The water department distributed 5.6 million gallons of drinking water in the month of December. The GIS mapping system will, no, I'll touch on it now. I won't even touch on any engineering notes. Engineers are reviewing some previously collected data from a previous engineer. Sounds like, it looks like a lot of that data is pretty accurate. So it sounds like it's sub-foot, which is pretty darn close. We can take that, we can live with that. So last thing in the water department here, this end of this month, possibly beginning of February, I'll be reapplying again for that the MDH Source Water Protection Grant, which is what got your guys' campground lift station line last year, which didn't cost us $1. That was great. So we'll be doing that again. That's I think that's number 4 on our wellhead protection plan list of hazards. We have 5, So we have, this is number 4 already, we've moved right down the list. I honestly don't even know what the 5th one is off the top of my head. Okay, so we're moving right through it. If we can keep doing that through grants, that would be awesome, because we all know finances are tough here, so. Sewer department collected 10 million gallons of wastewater the month of December. The bridge lift station pumps, those are still on hold. We're gonna wait till spring to install them. I touched on this a little bit, and we'll touch on it later on in tonight's meeting about some random wastewater sampling we're doing for our phosphorus management plan, our mercury management plan. So there's a little bit more to come on that. Street department, yeah, we know there's a bunch of snow. Nobody likes it. Seems like it snows every other day. That's life. We're tired, but it is what it is. So equipment's holding up. Kinda, but seems like we're running during the day, we're fixing at night, and then we're trying to get back in here and do it all over again. So, a couple things we'll touch on later. A reminder, Darren, you might want to help me out with this one. Minnesota State Statute 160.27 subdivision 5 calls out there, it is illegal to place snow in the right of way, across the public right of
Plug
way.
across the, roadway, yep.
Correct.
Yep.
We have that happening all over town. So between Darren and I, we just touched on it, but we're gonna sit down and talk about it a little bit more. We have a lot of that happening, which then is causing more work for Public Works, because we have push piles left in the right of way, which is then a traffic concern or a safety hazard, so we're forced to do something then about that. So we're gonna start addressing some of those. I think a little bit of communication probably go a long ways with that.
Yeah, and it's, even the last storm that we had there, call after call after call of neighbor pushing snow in another person's yard, and it's just getting to be a lot everywhere for everybody, so we're gonna, Bill and I will sit and go over that and, try and come up with a good plan, make contact with a lot of the ones that are violating state
Absolutely.
statute.
Absolutely.
This happens all over.
Right, we'll probably do that when we get a little more caught up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, parks, campground, cemetery, everything shut down for the winter. Colin Berry did arrive last week. It's at the shop, it's not in place, it's not gonna be in place for a while, and that's okay. We'll get to it when we get to it. What's that?
Have you seen it? I mean,
It's still wrapped up,
Okay.
yeah, but it's in one piece, so that's a plus. Right, we'll take that as a win, so. And then we have some safety stuff to touch on here tonight. There's your awareness policy later on in the packet, a couple more things to go with that. That aware program is the first step of even any of this happening for Moose Lake, just because the current aware program that is in place only covers parts of the employees for the city of Moose Lake, not all of them. So this one will cover all of them. From there, then we can build on trainings. I can break that down with the League of Minnesota Cities, get every department what they need for safety training, the requirements, and then a lot of those are gonna be done electronically. So YouTube videos or videos from the League of Minnesota Cities, which are, if they're not free, they're very cheap. And that'll be a lot better option than what we're currently using, I feel. So we're just gonna keep picking away at that. But this is definitely the first step. Second thing under the safety side of things is there is a 50-50 matching grant out there in the first quarter of 2023 that I'm gonna apply for as well. It's for a trench box that we budgeted for in 2023, 50-50 matching. The trench box was 10 or 12 grand or something like that. So I believe it's up to 10 grand. So there's a possibility of some funding there, hopefully. We're gonna go after that pretty hard because, once again, grants are Moose Lake's friend, for sure. So that's all I have right now here. Any questions? Yeah, go
Are
ahead.
you gonna call a safety committee meeting in the next quarter?
In the next quarter, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
this month, no, there's no way. But in the first quarter, for sure, and then we'll have them on a quarterly basis as well.
And you're aware we do have that meeting coming up on emergency response, which is part of the safety committee, but actually we can hold that and hopefully have that done by the first safety committee to go over it with everyone.
Yeah. We'll see what, are you saying,
Well,
rephrase that, I'm sorry. Say that again.
I've asked Alyssa and Taylor to start updating the stuff in the emergency response book.
Yep, absolutely. But your process, how you wanted that done, that I guess I missed just now.
Well, we're gonna hold a meeting on the 18th
Yep,
and go over the book
okay, got it, okay.
and get input from the fire chief, police chief, you know, you, Alyssa, all this on the committee and, look at what should be in there, what isn't. I am not up to date anymore. My training goes back to the NINS, which was the last national system, and now it's all changed again.
And I started updating some of that, Ted, after when we had the power outage, you know, the way below zero then. After that, I started updating a few of the things and streamlining some of that. So I do have a little bit of that, so if we wanna get together and start.
Wonderful.
Yeah, start getting it into the book
Yeah.
and take a look at the way the book's organized and maybe change it all. What is the new system called even?
Good question.
Nobody knows?
I guess we'll learn.
We'll have to.
Yes.
Snowbank.
Isn't it like,
Where, which one? They're everywhere.
The same one that we talked about before. The other day again, the plow was removed faster, but it was so big that literally when you come, and everybody goes to the post office, that's the only reason I get so concerned about it, is when you come up on Second Street, you literally have to have your entire car out almost across the street to look down towards Lakeshore Drive to see if anybody's coming. Is there another intersection we could push it down farther so it's not at that main intersection where everybody is using that morning?
Sure. No, I understand your question, absolutely. The answer is yes. However, it does cost more money in fuel to push it and time. However, I was thinking about this as soon as you brought that up. There's a pretty good sized right-of-way right there in front of that residence. We could actually back that pile off the corner,
Yeah.
move it farther west
Yeah.
to open up that intersection better so it's safer. And I think if that would work,
That would be
I think
great.
yeah, it'll be kind of an inconvenience kind of in that mid-block portion in front of that residence, but I think that would be a lot better option.
Yeah, it's just a lot, and I mean, it was moved a lot faster, cleared out,
Right.
but literally I was almost across the street to look down towards Lakeshore Drive, and I mean, everybody comes to the post office in the morning, and it's just a matter of time before somebody gets hit there.
Sure. No, absolutely. We can see what we can do. I'm sure we can.
Yeah, you
scoot
can just
over a
push
bit.
it back, that would be great.
Yeah, just to the west, even 100
Yeah.
feet would be
Yeah.
very helpful. Absolutely. Not a problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as a city councilman and the business manager downtown, we really appreciate you getting all that snow from downtown. It's looked really good this year, and you know, all the old people too that struggle to get up and over all that stuff. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
it's,
thank your whole crew for
it's
us.
just our job, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping us employed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good job. Municipal Liquor Store Department Report for December 2022. Elaine.
Well, we don't have the end of the year yet. But we're working on it. I do have some exciting news. We are open for the first time ever on January 1st. We open at 3 o'clock. After inventory. Thankful for Mari and Garrett for opening up. And in that time from 3 to 12, our total for on and off sale was roughly around $2,500. Transfers were around $400. The extra wages to work on the holiday were around $250, so it was definitely worth opening up that day. Yeah, people enjoyed it. Everybody, Tom was like ecstatic. Oh, you're gonna open on the 1st. Wow, this is awesome. So we did, and it worked out well. And the E-tabs, the Hockey Association decided to switch from Pilot to Booty Chaser, which are still, he's still making 15% off of that, so the transition went smoothly. So we have those now. It's like what everybody else has around. Everybody knows them, they're familiar with them, so hopefully more people play and win and have a good time. Inventory went fairly well. I've been thankful on it, yeah, but we're still, we have to wait for the auditors for that, so. Other than that, that's about it.
Any questions for
Any
Elaine?
questions?
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Moving on to 4D Technology / Library Monthly Update.
Library didn't have a meeting this month.
Anything at all from the library or for council? Nothing yet? Okay. Moving on to 4E City Engineer Monthly Upgrade for January 5th, 2023, meeting minutes.
So, we had a conference call this month for a meeting due to snow and then some other issues we had. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, we had a conference call instead of a meeting. So, we did not touch on the entire section of minutes that you see here, but we did touch on a few things. I believe Alyssa, you're going to take care of the financial part. You're perfect. Sounds good. The stop sign's still on 4th Street to finish out that project. We're still waiting on them. So, and to be honest with you, I just assume they're not even putting it right now because they're just going to be in our way, and it's going to be, they'll have more temporary work. They'll come back and fix it in the spring. We put no signs in right now. They're temporaries. We slide them out of the way. We push all the snow. We apply them back. So it works a lot better all the way around. The 2023 lining project, there's going to be a conversation I'm going to want to have with Administrator Owens, the mayor, and then we'll talk about it here later date. Just some other options, some things that I'd like to do. I think we can save a lot of money doing it a little bit differently. But we'll talk about that in depth a little bit more. But there's more to come on that as well. What else did we talk about?
The trail,
Yeah, it's coming up
73.
later, I know that.
Okay.
I was gonna ask on the trail, because I stopped another snowmobile going down the new trail today.
You did?
So, you know, if people are walking on it and using it, I mean, it's technically still not posted, and I know they haven't finished the thing yet, so you don't have the signs up on there. But I don't know if there's anything temporary, any for non-motorized, or anything we could throw out, but.
They have signs, they didn't want, I mean, I don't even think I have the signs, so
Yeah.
no, I don't think we could.
So right now, I mean, we're stopping them, talking to them, you're not supposed to be on here, but they don't know either because the old snowmobile trail used to come through a portion of that, so, but they're riding on that trail.
Right. We're trying to keep it pretty tight down there, you know, plowed off pretty tight, so you're not gonna wanna run on them very hard, so. With that, we'll shift gears a little bit, in the sewer department, as far as our meeting goes. Mercury management plan, phosphorus minimization plan, there is still a bunch of sampling we are going to be doing this winter to try to target some of those heavier users that we haven't done, or contributors of those two parameters. There's some stuff on a SIU agreement that we're gonna explain later. Some of these notes, you've seen us talk about SIU a lot, and we're gonna explain a little bit more of that, and then we're gonna show a draft to you guys of what we're gonna do and why we have to use some of those things. As far as that goes, that sampling is gonna take place. The mapping I touched on earlier, the MDH lead service replacement, that's gonna be a pain, but that lead survey rule is, I think, due in 24 or 25. Basically what it is we go through town, we have to check out and see how many lead services we have in Moose Lake. If anybody watches the news, they're doing it all over Duluth right now. There is some funding for some of that. I feel we have very few lead service lines left in this town. The downfall is we can't go through that survey and say, yep, they're all this, right? They're all copper, because one, we have a very good idea how many are and how many aren't. We do have a very good idea of how many that are galvanized. However, the ones that are galvanized, they do qualify as a lead service line. If you don't get any information in a residence, it's automatically qualified as a lead service line, which is not what we need. So we're gonna have to put some time and effort into that, but we'll just have to fit it in one way or the other. With that being said, am I missing anything? Because you, Ryan, you were there, Ted, you were there?
Pay apps, but that's later.
Right.
The Genesis lease agreement, are we gonna go into any of that? Maybe just give them the council upgrade.
Sure, yeah, so essentially we've been looking to update our contract with Genesis, and they were given the option to propose a contract to the city. Otherwise, as part of our agreement with them, our city engineers could draft a new contract that they would be required to pay for our city attorneys to draft it. So they chose to draft the contract internally and sent it to us. We then had our city engineers review it, and there are some items that we're gonna have to negotiate with them. For example, sunset clauses, annual increase in lease amount, things like that. So we're kind of working through a new contract with them, going back and forth a little bit, getting some advice from the city engineers as far as pulling information from other areas that have a similar type of agreement in place. And so we're working on that. We're getting a little bit closer, but it's taking some time. So more information on that to come.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to 4F Chamber Commerce updates. Mr. Walter?
Yep, the Chamber of Commerce has hired a new executive director. Her name is Michelle. She has worked in the area for an extended period of time. She was kind of looking to take a hiatus, and then this opportunity came around. And so we've all worked with her in other capacities. They're excited to have her on board. She starts Monday. Monday is her first day. So they're kind of looking at having some events that turn around real quick. There's an annual dinner on Saturday. They have an ice bocce event coming up here in the next couple of months in February 4th, I believe. And so she welcomes everybody stopping by and saying hi. They're going to kind of be in a little bit of a transition phase here as she comes into her role and learns more about the chamber and her function in that capacity. So we'll continue to work closely with them.
I think some of you may know her. She was the head of the Mercy Foundation for years.
What's your last name?
Michelle Anderson.
Correct.
And she's worked in that kind of a role her whole career, as like a public liaison or in a public nonprofit type organization where she would run it and organize things for the group and stuff like that. She's done a real good job. She did a real good job for the Mercy and had to go through that changeover to Essentia and completed that with Mercy. So it should be a good addition to the chamber, I hope. Thank you. Previously discussed business number 5A, Police District Exploration Discussion. What I wanted to do with this is to get consensus from the council to move ahead. Alyssa and I and Darren have just talked about it in the last couple of days, and we'd like to take the next step with this discussion with, first with the Moose Lake Township, and just get consensus from the council to move ahead. Right?
What is the next step? Just to talk to the
Just
township?
to start discussion with them, either with the chair and one of the members or the whole chair, whatever they want, just to start that process.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that.
And we're hoping that it would look something like the fire district, how that is set up. So more to come on that. We have consensus, so.
Excellent.
Under new business, let's see. 2023 City Moose Lake fee schedule. I think you all have a handout.
Yes.
City Administrator.
There was a fee schedule included in the packet. Today we handed out a new one. Everything that has been updated or changed or modified is highlighted. We have changed the dog and cat licensing and tag amounts. In addition, we've kind of worked on our process with that. There is a city ordinance in place that we will be reviewing an amendment or revocation and a new ordinance later on to come in the meeting. So those fees have been updated. The Park Pavilion daily rental fee has been updated. And then the water and sewer rates in conjunction with the rate increases that were previously passed in December. And then the I&I inspection information has also been added to the fee schedule, and that comes from the I&I ordinance that was previously passed.
Very good. I'm gonna bring up another item once we pass this.
Sure.
Are there any discussions or questions by the council?
What was the park pavilion daily fee?
It was a voluntary,
It was voluntary,
it
right?
was, and how to officially put a dollar amount on it, and then keep the Legion Pavilion and the bandstand thing as free,
Okay.
but put a charge on the pavilion.
So we've had costs associated with maintenance, the appliances in there, the kitchenette, things of that nature. A lot of times we're in there cleaning after events, tables, chairs, things of that nature. We generally get a donation, and looking back, the donation this is less than the donation we normally receive. But from time to time, we do have people that utilize it and without donation. So we try to come somewhere in the middle. We'll have 2 facilities in the park that are free for rental. The Park Pavilion does rent out every single weekend in the summer, and it comes at a very high premium. So it's gonna be nice to be able to recoup some of the maintenance costs for that, and just make sure that we're not going backwards with this facility being utilized, that we can keep it up to date for community members to be able to utilize as well.
Any other questions, discussion? Do I have a motion to accept the 2023 fee schedule?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And I don't know where you are with this, we talked about it, about a tent camp area being rented for the season.
Oh, that's on here, Jay.
It is.
Yes, yep. Would you like to move it up, or do you wanna wait for Jay?
Why don't we do it now, because it's part of this, it may become part of the fee schedule.
Sure.
thing. That was a test, by the way, just to see if you.
Got it. A lot of Dayquil. Yes, we've received a request from a community member to have a tent site available for a seasonal rental. It's not something that we've had in the short past, in recent past. We've kind of done some information gathering and talked to different department heads around the city. A couple of pros and cons to consider. Our tent sites sometimes do flood, so having a seasonal camper within that tenting area could be difficult based on whether or not that particular site is flooded. A lot of times in the beginning of the season, those sites aren't available. In addition, for activities such as the Fourth Fest, we have to have the tent area clear in totality for the fireworks to be able to be, for the fireworks display to be able to go. So there are a couple of obstacles to that. Absolutely want to bring it forth for discussion with the council. I don't know if there's anything from a public works and or a police department standpoint as far as having a seasonal tenting site opportunity that Darren or Phil would like to weigh in on.
I wouldn't go forward with it. That's my recommendation, just for the dealing in the past, because what you find out is you're gonna get a lot of people that have been kicked out from other campground to campground that are probably close to the homeless portion of it and set up there and bring in a bunch of extra stuff. We evicted a bunch this last year that were problems everywhere they went, and they kept wanting to come back here till you're on the do not rent list. We won't let you back in our campground, and move them on. So you're gonna find that coming in here, once they know you're gonna let them stay there all year, and there'll be junk piled in there everywhere. So I would recommend not to do it.
I agree.
the couple we had last year, the mess they left behind that we had to clean up, not worth it.
That answers that.
Okay, I'll ask for consensus. Greg?
No seasonal.
Tom?
I agree.
Chris?
I agree, no seasonal.
No season.
So we get consensus, no on it.
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. All right. Moving on to 6B, the Minnesota Lottery 2023 Annual Contract Renewal.
This is the same retailer application that we've filled out in the past. This is an annual process for us in order to approve. This particular contract, the renewal date is February 15th of 2023.
Council? Motion to accept the
So moved.
contract. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6C, City Moose Lake, Aware.
Aware program,
Yes.
yes, the workplace accident injury reduction program. Basically, the entire beginning top layer blanket of the city of Moose Lake Safety Plan. I'm not gonna go through it all. Thank you, but we do need it adopted by you guys. And then we can continue to move on. So, if you have any questions on it, I'd recommend you get a hold of me later. We can go over anything you'd like to go over.
City Administrator?
That's all I got.
It's
Yes.
required.
This is required, this is the first step of our safety program process. We've got some more steps that we'll share later on in tonight's meeting, but this is step one that we have completed.
Is there any discussion for the council on any items within the document? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to C, City of Moose, okay, sorry. D, 4th Street Reconstruction Project, Venton Company Incorporated, change order number 3.
Start it?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So here's a change order for Forest Street Road project. Essentially, I'm gonna say this with kid gloves, right?
Yes, sir.
This way, right?
Please.
Yeah. Essentially, the engineers and the contractor is requesting an additional $2,780.49 because their density on the blacktop was that good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it beat the standards, it was like.
Yep, it beat the standard.
1.03 or something density
Yep.
ratio.
And there's a statement in the contract, what did they call it?
There's incentives and decentives.
Yes, so it's under the incentive portion that we have in the contract that we signed. And believe me, we questioned them
A lot.
a lot on this. And to get rid of that, you have to get rid of the
Decent.
desensitive, which means if you find a problem, then you can, of course, hold back money. And they would throw that out with the other ones, so we don't want to do that. We have to keep them in there.
So a couple things, the decentive side, I see that constantly on every project. There's always something that's not quite right, and it's, okay, it's not the end of the world, we'll get by, but then there's a deduct, right? I have never seen this, ever, which just doesn't mean anything. This is fine. I will say this, SCH said this is the second time, and Ted, was it 20 years?
Yes.
They saw this being requested. I understand it's in the contract, I understand, I get it, but
It bugs you to do it.
big time.
Or we should look at the next contract and make sure it's not in there.
So, I asked that, right? That's just perfect, right? Well, then they're gonna wanna throw the decentive side out.
Sure.
Well,
And we need that.
you got
We
it.
have to have that in.
At the end of the day, though, $2,700, I know it rubs us wrong, but at the same time, it was a safeguard that we took, and I think it's worth $2,700.
And
It's
we're gonna
probably
really
been,
go 4th Street.
yeah, it's probably been in every contract that we've ever signed in 20 years.
Correct, so the change order amount for this change order number 3 is $2,780.49.
Motion to approve.
There's a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, thank you. Moving on to E, 4th Street Reconstruction Project, Vet and Company Incorporated Pay Application number 5.
Yes, so this is the 5th payment application for the 4th Street project. We are releasing some of the retainage. We are very close to being done. The amount due for this particular pay app is $9,956.
I have a question on that one. As we get closer to the end here, the seeding did not take in a lot of areas. I would like to make sure that that's taken care of with whatever residual funds there are or monies that we're withholding.
And there will be some reserve for that. And then also, that would also fall under the money warranty as well. It doesn't take that.
Okay.
So that's taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, good catch.
All right, thank you.
What they do with these, how they explain it, they try to match the dollar amount that is left of the items that were on our list that have not been completed. So they decrease as those items are knocked off the
Punch list.
punch list.
Correct. So the retainage number goes down.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's just a normal thing. But absolutely, we want to make sure all those items are done before it's all released.
Correct.
And this next one was acceptable to you?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6F, 73 Trail Project, Yulin Brothers Pay Application number 8. This is the final. And I'll let you guys explain that.
You want me to start?
You're gonna have to.
So this is the final pay application for the Trunk Highway 73 Trail Project. As we know, we've had some discussions, and I included a letter in the packet as well. The trail is not finalized as far as workmanship. There are some items left on our punch list, some items that we've been continuing to address with the contractor, with the city engineers. Essentially, we ran into being put in a position where the county and ourselves could potentially be penalized if we didn't close out the project, because the project has ran on for so long. So in order to make sure that there were not penalties from a county standpoint or a city standpoint, because we're all tied in together through our funding sources for state funding and state grants, we need to make sure that this project got closed out. So we work very closely with the county, and we want to help make sure that we are doing our part to be a good partner. They're a partner with us in this project, so it's important that we close it out. We really don't have much of a say in the matter. If they're going to close it out, we are closing the project out. This also, in essence, we had monies tied up through grants that the longer we have monies tied up in these grants, the longer it is before we will be considered again for more state funding for additional grants. And we are looking for additional grant funding at this time as well. So we are in a position to close out the project. We've made sure that we have things in place. We have a letter of acceptance and a letter from the contractor, essentially with some accountability for what will take place in the spring. We also have a 1-year warranty on the trail. So any items that are left over that need to be taken care of come spring, we have been reassured that they will be taken care of. So it was the recommendation of the city engineers that we close out the project, and this is the final pay app for that.
We don't want to impact the county negatively either, because we want to partner with them in the future on other things.
Correct.
And I think the county was surprised when they found out from the state that, hey, the date has elapsed. So they got caught off guard on that and notified us immediately.
Correct. There's been lots of discussion, extra meetings with Ryan, Phil, Ted, and myself, the city engineers, the county, the contractors. I mean, everybody's just kind of doing their best here. We have vocalized our disappointment or areas of frustration and making sure that there's accountability from all parties. And so we are doing that in the background as well. So the amount for this final pay app is $63,245.64.
Any questions, discussion by the council? Hearing none, Doug?
Yeah, I guess I'd make the motion that we pay this, but also the motion that it was a requirement or recommendation by the county, and also that there's an understanding that we have a 1-year warranty to have all items fixed.
Excellent.
Very good. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 6G, SIU agreement, draft memorandum.
So everybody read all those pages in the packet, right?
Yeah, it's not fun.
This way, yep, this way, yep. Okay, so we all understand what this is.
Not really, no.
Perfect. So where do you want me to start?
I don't know, that was just a lot of information.
Yes, it is.
Maybe just give a synopsis of it.
So basically what it is
Not all of
in
that.
1993, Moose Lake passed an ordinance 127, with the ability, with the language in there, to develop significant user agreements. What that is it's a way for the city to be protected from a big contributor, okay? Now that could be on flow, everyone thinks it's just on flow, but it's not on flow, it's on loading, the strength of the wastewater, right? It protects your wastewater facility, okay? So typically, what we see for strength of wastewater, for the most part, I don't know if that email made it in the packet, I'm not sure, but I'll throw them on here real quick. Typically, 250 milligrams per liter of CBOD, 130 milligrams per liter of TSS, phosphorus between 6 and 7, which is on the higher side, but that's gone up in the last few years, and pH between 7.5 and 8, okay? So what you have is the city has a few users or contributors to our waste stream that are, one, very large users. They contribute a lot of flow to us, okay? We have at least 2, 3 of those that I can think of off the top of my head. We also have ones that contribute a huge volume of loading, so extremely strong wastewater, right? So they might contribute 20,000 gallons a month, but it's equivalent to 500,000-600,000 gallons because of the strength for the dilution ratio, right? To get it back down to where it wants to treat it, because we don't have, obviously. Basically what this is, that ordinance, it gives the city, I would say, the legal standing to be able to put a SIU in place with whoever this user may be. So in that memo, in the packet, you will see, this business, if you don't understand the sampling reports in there, please come talk to me, and I will explain them to you. They're very strong, extremely strong. Basically we're gonna be in communication with our engineer, our admin staff, this business owner to come up with solutions so we can come up with a program that we can somehow either monitor, dilute, have them store on site and haul off, which is very common in this situation, very common, in order so we're not shocking our wastewater facility. If this type of situation continues to happen, most likely we'll be building a wastewater treatment facility. Our numbers are going through the roof as far as concentration, because also, right, we're lining, so our flows are going down, so our dilution ratio is down there anymore. So our numbers are crawling that way, but then also in these sampling reports, you can see how strong that wastewater is. It's nowhere close. I think there was one of them called out here. Just the CBOD on one of these processes of their industry is 2,100 times stronger than it should be. So it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, and it's going to take a little time to explain all that. So if you have questions, please get hold of me. I'd love to sit down with any one of you and go over this, so you can understand it as well, because there's a lot of information here, a lot.
Is that because of the grains and things of that nature that they can ship out?
That and, yep, so there's that, and then there's the yeast vats, which are through the roof. The cleaning chemicals are terrible. There's a lot to it. About every process of that industry is really tough on wastewater. And if you look at the local news on TV, you saw it up the North Shore, you saw it in Duluth, you see it everywhere.
So essentially, it's been identified. There's a couple of entities in town that we'll be looking at having SIU agreements with. So just wanted to bring forward that this is something that has been identified as a need for the city, a process that we're working on. There's a couple of already identified entities that we're working with, and
And not all of them on strength.
correct,
Some of them on floor.
volume.
Volume, yep, and but others on strength.
So just want to make sure that we maintain the longevity of the ponds, essentially. And so these types of agreements put things in place where, whether it's, you know, monetary or process or whatever it is, we can control and monitor, and we're not blind as far as what's being contributed to our ponds.
So where do the samples come from? Are they taking them from the property? Or?
These samples that are in this packet, I took myself out of their equipment
Oh,
as it
okay.
was entering the wastewater stream. So it's as raw as it comes. Yep. Perfect example, a smaller community, about 500-600 population, larger than us, just north of us, spent $32 million on a wastewater plant. They got all done, and before they did this process, turns out the plant's not even big enough to handle that one user. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. So,
And this affects development, because if they want to increase their production or expand, this can multiply logarithm thing, not just double or triple, it goes way up.
We're in a unique scenario because for this particular user, a pond setup might actually be better able to handle, if we stay in front of it, better able to handle the load than a treatment facility because of the time,
detention
goes
time.
through.
the detention time as it goes through the process.
Correct.
So we're actually in a good position, we just need to make sure that we stay ahead of it and that we're working on it, so.
Greg?
In other words, we can handle residential development, we cannot handle industrial.
Some of it,
I wouldn't say that.
It just
direction
depends.
but this will help us protect it.
Right,
Correct.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, yes. Yep.
Moving forward, we're gonna have discussions with our engineer, admin staff, myself, the client themselves, and just kind of keep this ball rolling until we end up with a signed SIU.
Correct, these discussions are also being had with other entities, MSLB and DOC, we're in discussions with, and a couple other entities, also the sewer district, things like that. So we'll just continue to work on it. This is an example of one we just wanted you need to be aware and make you aware of what we're doing.
We're not looking for any action, this is informational only at
Correct.
this time.
Keep in mind, this is nothing new. The city council in '93 passed this ordinance, 127 and '93 is when it was passed. This is nothing new. It's just something that's never been brought up, never been put in place, never been putting the sewer department's best interests in mind first. So just keep that in mind. This is not, hasn't been called out, this is not targeting anybody, this is none of that. This is old ordinances that are just now coming to light.
Thanks for staying on
Very
top of
good.
it, everybody.
Thank you. Moving on to 6H Resolution 23.01.01 Business Authorization Resolution.
Yes, this is a new requirement from the entity from TCM Bank to which we have city credit cards through. So in order to make any modifications to our accounts, card users, adding and removing things of that nature, they are now requiring that this resolution be passed with signers. So it is simply a process piece.
Council?
Motion to approve resolution 23.01.01.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 6I, lease agreement, Moose Lake Area Hockey Association.
Yes, I just wanted to give visibility to the new lease agreement that is in place. Upon approval from council, both Mayor Shaw and myself will sign it. This is simply informational and transparency. We're really excited about this contract. This contract does have the increase, the $11,000 increase for part-time wages at the arena. So that's an excellent partnership with the Hockey Association.
Any questions by the council? Do we have a motion to accept the lease agreement?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I want to thank Alyssa on the work on this. And Ryan, I think you were involved before that, so this is excellent work. I don't think we've had an improvement like this or an offer to help pay for employment forever. I mean, this is excellent work. Thank you very much. We did J already, so I'll move on to 6K, ordinance 169, and ordinance licensing and regulating the keeping of dogs, cats, and dogs. Excuse me.
So we'll have Taylor join us to share a little bit about this. Essentially, this is an ordinance. There was an ordinance already in play. This is just the modification and updating of that, and Taylor will share how she came to this update.
So I've actually been getting calls from citizens wondering about licensing their dogs and cats with the city. So I thought it was a good opportunity to add that to the fee schedule. And I've spoken with Darren about some complaints. I got a complaint through Facebook Messenger about somebody who had an extensive amount of dogs, and she was concerned for their welfare. We didn't have a maximum, a pet limit in our ordinances, so I went ahead and did that too. So I basically just started with the ordinance that we had in place prior to and modified it to what was relevant to today. I highlighted the parts that were changed or added, so I added that we should have a current rabies vaccination certificate on file for all dogs and cats that are registered. That is the law, that your animals be vaccinated for rabies. I do have a typo in here. It says licenses are valid for a period of 2 years, but on the fee schedule it says annually, so I'm going to have to change that to 1 year. But we also added a lifetime option so that if you wanted to pay a larger fee and just get it over with for the duration of your pet's life, then that was also an option. Each household, as it is in here right now, can possess a maximum of 3 dogs and or 3 cats. So that's 3 dogs and 3 cats if you choose. That is obviously open for discussion if we think that that should be less or more. Then with impoundment, in the previous ordinance, there was a lot of referencing to an animal shelter, which we don't have a local animal shelter here anymore. So I actually reached out to Rough Start Rescue out of Princeton, Minnesota, which I actually am also affiliated with, and asked if they would be willing to be our primary contact for strays that don't get reclaimed. So I believe that dogs and cats have to be held for 5 days on a stray hold, and then after that, if they're not reclaimed, they can be, put up for adoption. So at that point, we would just reach out to the rescue. They would place the dog or cat in a foster home to be rehomed and adopted. And then, I don't remember why I had the kennels part highlighted. No person, firm, or corporation shall maintain in the city a kennel without securing a license, therefore, from the city council. I think I highlighted that because I had questions about if we had something in place already for kenneling within the city limits, because that's in this ordinance. So other than that, everything stayed relatively the same. Does anybody have any questions for me or discussion, recommendations for maximum dogs, cats, that sort of thing?
I just have a question about Rough Start Rescue.
Sure.
Is there a fee for us to?
Nope, not at all. they're a nonprofit, they're completely volunteers, the fosters are volunteer-based. I have 2 fosters at home actually right now. So what they do is you reach out and say, hey, I have this dog, we need to find placement for it. They will post it for all of their fosters to see, and if somebody's willing to take it, then they would take it and adopt it out. So it is based on availability, but every shelter around here is also, it's hard to get and surrender a dog to Animal Allies. I know they're always full. And so if we can't find placement with Rough Start Rescue, we can always reach out to a different one, but Rough Start agreed to be our primary contact. So we can always contact them first, and they will do their best to find us placement for any strays that are not claimed.
Yeah, there's a difference between rental properties and other residential. Because I know typically the problems that we run into is they have an apartment and they have no grounds, you know, and that could be where all of our calls come into, so I don't know if there was a limit on, if you rent, you have a
There's
limit?
not in the ordinance, you know, in most places, you know, it's up to the landlord if you can have pets and how many you
For
can
the
have.
executive director.
Yeah. Because Taylor's done a great job on this, because it's really, there is nowhere to go. I mean, Animal Allies in Duluth was the last holdout, and if you're not from that county, they're not taking them anymore. And we get people that pick them up off the interstate and bring them into here to town, and it's like, what am I supposed to do with it now, you know? So Taylor was able to get us a scanner, so we have that now, scan
Yes,
for
the
chips on any
microchip
of them.
scanner, yeah.
So we can try and move that along, otherwise we typically go to a vet, so at least now there's some things put into place that we can reach out to either come pick that dog up or get it into, you know.
I'm the only one in this area, so they would pretty much call me and tell me to take the dog home, so.
I'll give everybody your number.
Yeah.
First contact right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we try to make sure that the issues that we have or the complaints that we're getting, for example, you know, concern, or, you know, residents might have 15 cats or, you know, whatever it might be, that if we're updating this, we want to make sure that we've addressed all the issues that we've seen or had a need for some type of ordinance in place. So that has gone into this as well. You know, Darren has provided collaboration with Taylor on this, open for discussion. I know we have to do multiple readings, so if anybody has any ideas or any questions that come up even after the meeting, we'll continue to work on this and have readings throughout the next couple of months. And so it can be modified over this period of time as well.
Yeah, this is the first reading of it. I'll get you, sorry. And then next month will be the second reading. The third month it's called a reading, and then we do a motion to accept. Yes, sir.
One of the problems is the landlords themselves, you know, in certain apartment buildings, especially downtown here. You know, we had this issue with the one here downtown here, and you call them up and you tell them, you talk to them, and you tell them, you know, you really shouldn't be renting this out to people that have dogs. And 2 months later, they turn around and they rent it out to somebody else that has 2 dogs. So it's almost like, you know, the landlords, I don't know if there needs to be a resolution for some of the buildings downtown. Here, like say the Carol Inn and this one next door, that they can't have pets because they just keep renting them out to people with pets. And there's just, some of the places, there's just nowhere for them to go to the bathroom.
So if you even look at if it's a multi-unit rental, you might want to look at the city, you know, has something against that or whatever, because that is a problem. Versus if you're just renting a house and you have yard space, that's one thing, but it is like, you know, I agree with Walt, it's an issue.
If that would be something they're able to do legally.
Yeah.
We can check into that for next month.
Sure, absolutely.
I have a question on the kennels. So what if you put a kennel up for a family member that's coming with their dog just occasionally that needs to be in a kennel?
I think
And
kennel,
it's
any person, partnership, or corporation engaged in breeding, buying, and selling or boarding dogs. So I think the definition of kennel is like.
No, I'm talking on number 13.
Yep, that's about,
Kennel.
It's like
Oh,
a business.
a kennel,
Kennel business.
a kennel is a business,
Not
yeah.
just a kennel.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. I'm thinking of that.
I just had a question on the fee schedule then, that we should probably add kennels onto the fee schedule.
Sure, and
something
some
that
sort of
nature.
licensing procedure for people operating that business in the city.
do we know how many people come in and buy licenses? Do we know how many are registered, how many
I
pets
think
are registered?
officially we have 2 dogs in the whole city, something like that.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any.
it wasn't on the fee schedule in the past few years. So I have records of some from as far back as 2015, but in the past few years, that hasn't been something that we've been enforcing in the city. So, but from the start of this year, I've had 2 people at least call and inquire about it. So people are aware that it's a thing expected in cities, and it sounds like they're willing to do so. It's also really nice to have your dog licensed with the city in case they ever were to get loose. You know, if there's records somewhere. You know, if they're not microchipped or not wearing an identification tag, maybe they're wearing the City of Moose Lake tag, and then you can look it up and figure out whose owner it is. So there's benefits from a citizen perspective as well to register your dog with the city.
On their application, Taylor, does it have the type of dog or the contact info, which would be helpful for us, because when we get one picked up, it doesn't have the collar, at least we can know this type of dog, here's the phone number, so I don't know if you can access it electronically or not, but it would be beneficial for us to have.
I think there's a spot for, you know, distinct markings or things that could, you know, give us an idea of who might own the dog too, so.
Yep, great.
Mhm.
With that said, about the only 2 animals being licensed here in the city, we should have something sent out to the citizens that if law enforcement or city people come in contact the dog that's not licensed, that they not see that it's licensed, they will be, someone from the city will be contacting them, and they'll have to fill out an application for the animal. We have a lot more too.
You know, I can give a little history and the background, and Chris, you probably know that too. When we did advertise years ago, everybody registered an animal. You know, made an attempt to get it out in the community. But we did not want to tie the law enforcement to checking every dog that.
Yeah, I'm not asking that.
It was only, it turned out to the dogs that were lost.
Probably should.
Yes, exactly what you're saying, and,
Animal inspector.
yeah.
It's like a stray dog, check
Right.
to see if it comes in contact with a barking dog, is it licensed? It's just another question that's gonna be asked, it's not asking them to go to.
There used to be official dog catcher in town.
I think it was the mayor.
Yeah,
Ryan?
Interesting.
That was quick.
but if we pick one up that's not
Oh,
licensed,
he's got a lot
they should
more
be
time.
fined.
Yeah, that's another fun.
You know, they should be fined. If we pick one up and it's not licensed in the city, then you're gonna get a fine, you know,
Yeah.
is the way it should be. And I think there was a thing set up in our fee schedule for something like that already, so I'll double check.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you,
Good
Taylor.
job, Taylor, thank you.
Looking forward to that revenue.
Yeah. It was Mike.
Thanks for registering licenses.
Moving on to number 7, reports and correspondence. 7A is the City of Moose Lake Loss Control Field Visit, February 7th, 2023. Any updates or
Yep,
comments
so
on it?
I included some information in the packet that I just, you know, for information only. Essentially, we have a visit with the League of Minnesota Cities on February 7th. This has to do with, kind of with our safety program as well, and safety committee. It's the same gentleman, Troy Walsh from the League of Minnesota Cities, that's helping us with all of these processes. So we meet with him annually. This is the information that we'll be reviewing at our annual meeting here coming up in February. And again, this is just kind of in combination with some of our safety process things as well. In addition, there's a workers' comp section in there that I included for information only for your review.
Thank you. Any questions on the report? Hearing none, we'll move on to 8, committee and board meeting minutes. 8A, the Moose Lake Area Fire District for December 13, 2022. 8B, the Park Board regular meeting minutes, January 9th, 2023. Any questions on the committee meetings? Hearing none, we'll go on to 9, announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, February 8th, 2023, 4 p.m. right here. Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, January 18th, 2023, 12 p.m. at the City Conference Room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, 1 p.m., the Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, February 13th, 2023, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, February 14th, 2023, 6:30 p.m., Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting, Monday, March 6th, 2023, 5 p.m., City Council right here. As you notice for the Park Board, we have no meeting in February. Harlan, just so that you know, and I imagine you probably hearing this, that Doug has been assigned to the Water Lake. With that, anything else from the council? Administrator?
I don't believe so.
With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.